I want to talk about North Korea and this is really a horrible, shocking story. Mark Fitzpatrick, he's a local listener of the show, he turned me on to the story, he sent me some links, we did some research. In North Korea, we have a situation where, obviously we have a horrible situation in North Korea, and there was speculation that the recent shelling of North Korea, or rather of South Korea by North Korea, was actually a provocation attack because North Korea is so desperately in need of food aid that they wanted to cause a retaliation from South Korea big enough so that humanitarian organizations would bring food to them. We talked about that a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Now, this goes much further than many people would know. We know that there are food shortages in North Korea due to drought, due to crop failures. There's the inherent problems with the heavy restrictions on imports there. And this is actually having an effect to the extent that very, very soon, some people even argue now, that what was in 50, 60 years ago when the division started in North and South Korea was just an indicator was just a political division. And now we actually are seeing two different races essentially develop. And what I mean is this. The malnutrition that has been going on in North Korea now for several decades is significantly changing the size of the people there. So in other words, in 2005, the average height for those who were 20 to 39 in North Korea was about 155 centimeters for women and about 166 centimeters for men. In South Korea, women and men respectively are 4 to 7 centimeters taller. Now again, genetically, ethnically, there is no difference. Now, the height disparity is stunning because Koreans from the North and South, which was just Korea previously, were more or less the same size. If anything, people in the North were slightly taller until the abrupt partition of the country after World War II. That's the initial evidence. What's your thought, Louis?
Well, it makes sense. I mean, that's what happens when food is plentiful. A species will get larger. And
as we see here in the U.S., but larger in a different
exactly.
way, because we're not talking about being overweight or underweight. We're actually talking about height here.
Americans are taller, too, than most people in most countries.
But in many countries, that's not the case. What we're seeing here is different. And I've read that North Korea actually has had to decrease the height requirements for the military due to this malnutrition. Now, foreigners who get the chance to visit North Korea, which is arguably the most isolated country in the world, are often confused about the age of children. 9-year-olds are mistaken for kindergartners, and soldiers are mistaken for Boy Scouts. Literally, the soldiers look like Boy Scouts. To the extent that they ever get to meet South Koreans, the North Koreans also seem to be shocked. I mean, when two small North Korean soldiers who were 19 and 23 drifted into South Korean waters on a boat, one supposedly was overheard saying they'd never be able to marry South Korean women because they were, quote, too big for us. This is reported in the book The Two Koreas by Don Oberdorfer. So in 20 years, we could literally be talking about two completely different races. Now, the argument against this, as you know, Louis, there are many people who, no matter what argument you make on a radio or TV show, they will point out reasons why it's flawed. The argument could be made that since there's no immigration to North Korea, but people can go to South Korea's height is increasing relative to North Korea's because there are taller immigrants added to the gene pool. You follow what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But the reality is that, number one, that's false. South Koreans haven't been getting taller. It's North Koreans who have been shrinking. And that would take much longer to work into the average height for the whole country than malnutrition, which, as we can see, can be reflected after just a couple of generations.
Right.
Humanitarian agencies are actually arguing that more food aid is needed in North Korea to prevent the stunting of more children. Seems obvious. But as we know, the nation's dogged pursuit of nuclear weapons has made it pretty unpopular among donors. And hey, when they have the choices of humanitarian crises in Iraq and Afghanistan or North Korea, where are they going to go? Not North Korea. A friend from Cambodia who we grew up with told us the same thing. He's, I think, 6'3" or something. He's pretty big. And I remember him telling us that when he goes back to visit, his entire family is tiny.
Right.
Now, arguably, could we really see this genetically with him just moving here at the age of 5 and then eating a Western diet versus a diet
like
there?
First generation.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But he certainly is aware that, in general, his family diaspora in the U.S., everybody is bigger from a number of different family members. So this is not an uncommon thing. Now, about 500 North Korean children have come to South Korea, either alone or with their parents. And where we can really see that this isn't just, okay, they're smaller. There's no evidence this is really affecting them negatively. They're actually known for having difficulty keeping up in school. This is actually affecting the intelligence. So it really is a humanitarian crisis. And there are many of these crises around the world. And I'm not pointing a finger to this one and saying this is exclusively what we should focus on. I'm just saying that a malnutrition issue, as a result of the politics of the country, is actually leading to intelligence deficiencies and physical malnutrition. It is both that is going on here. Now, South Korea gives defectors from North Korea priority in going to the best universities. It's a form of affirmative action. 80% end up dropping out. And there's no coincidence there, Lewis. Absolutely no coincidence. There is, it is, what else can we say about it? And I don't know that there's any clear, it is shocking. I don't know that there's any clear solution, but we at least need to have the discussion.
Other than a coup?
Other than a coup. And we don't know how likely that is. Power seems to be changing hands almost seamlessly there with the transfer of power from Kim Jong-il to his third son.
But tensions are growing as well.
That's for sure. And the next year or 18 months, I think, will be interesting there. The David Pakman Show is made possible by listeners like you and by Greenfield Savings Bank, building strong communities one account at a time, with offices in Greenfield, Amherst, Conway, Shelburne Falls, South Deerfield, and Turners Falls, and online at greenfieldsavings.com. By the Daily Hampshire Gazette and GazetteNet.com, connecting our communities with local news and information. By DIF Design, specializing in custom business websites at difdesign.com. Find out more about underwriting The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.